Hey, Smart Lead team. Today we're going to see an inbox manager system directly integrated within Airtable. We added a couple of different components of that, and right now I will show you all the different components and how we are using Airtable together with the Smartlead API to get a very cool interface like that. So first off, prior to starting, why using Airtable instead of the actual Smartlead interface? The main reason is that we are able to integrate as many different tools and as many different additional workflows as possible. So if we are managing the progress from a different software, we are able to add additional metrics such as, for example, getting different KPIs about the time of the response, the average initial reply time, as well as specific commands such as checking the availability based on the calendar, and a lot of different things. Now, what I wanted to do is I want to showcase the system first, what are the two main components of the system, and then we will see all the automation that power the system so you can get a better understanding of that. So the main tables here are essentially four. We have a clients table where we keep all our different clients. We divide them by status so that we have those and we can just work with the clients which are actually active. Then we have contacts where we keep all the different contacts, all their different calendars and all their different APIs so that we can work on the check availability responses. We have templates. So if you want to use canned response and you already have a template for that, we can use that. And then we have responses. So in the responses, we get all the email responses, and then through the interface, we are able to manage everything. So now let me show you the actual interface itself. Here we have a dashboard. So in the dashboard, we have everything related to specific stats that we want to look. So email received, email processed, what is the calls that we receive out of the positive replies that we have. So that is like a general metrics to monitor. What is the average reply time? What is the initial reply time? What are the types of response to understand which is a custom response, which is a templated response, as well as additional things and different tasks. Then what we have is the actual inbox management structure, where here we have the name of the person, different information about the lead, different information about the email response, as well as the message itself, the conversation history, and a bunch of different buttons and availability and commands that we will see right now. So what I will do right now is I will show you a couple of different automations and show you what is the setup of these different automations. So we have three sets of different categories of automations right now. We have one part related to processing the inputs that we have. So when we actually get an email response, how do we add that into the system? How do we deal with all the different emails and different parts that are involved into the system? Then we have interface automations. So this means every kind of automations that is embedded into our interface and is used to make the interface functional. So everything related to replying to the emails, using a draft response, creating the templated reply, or maybe checking the availability are all things that we can do with the click of a button directly within the interface. And then finally, it's how do we get the KPIs and what is the process of getting the KPIs, which is involved in the other parts of the system. So let's start with the initial parts of the processing inputs. Here's the initial automation and the initial part for the processing. So everything starts from a webhook where we receive the email reply. We check whether the lead is already present in the system, and then here we can perform different operations based on whether the lead is present or not. So let's say the lead is not present. So here we go to lead not present, and then we have two additional possibilities. Either the lead category does not exist, or the reply categories exist or does not exist. So this is whether you have auto categorization active or not, so that the categorization is already defined by the system. So in an instance, what we do is we get the categories created by the system, and then we transform those into the actual categories. So those are divided into numbers. One is interesting, two is meeting request, and so on. Or the other thing that we do is we do the GPT categorization in the other instance if we don't have the categorization available in the system, and this allows to have better control over the response that you get. And also right now this is also available within Smartlead, so this second part doesn't make that much sense. But let's proceed with this part so you can see the flow and you can see what are the different things that we do if a lead category is positive. So the system is set it up so that we only deal with the leads that are actually positive within the system. So because those are the ones where we need to keep a conversation going and we need to work on. So first off, we get the lead information. Then we populate the lead history, which is another automation routine that we do on top of that. And then we have a specific set of things that we do in order to get multiple people which are included into the message. So those are specific things that we need to do to get the lead mapping ID, and then if we get the lead mapping, we perform a history check using the Smartlead internal API, and then once we have that, we get the to field and everything that is present in the to field. So this part is just so that we handle the use case of multiple people in the to field. And then what we do in the end is we actually create the response with all sort of different information that we take either from the webhook or from what we have available either on Smartlead itself or in the system. One of the things that we also add is this time of response, which is what we will use for calculating the KPIs for initial response time and response type in general. And yeah, so that is this initial part over here. Now what I want to show you is this part where we populate the lead history. So you can see this part over here, which is fairly simple. What we do is we get the lead history from that specific client ID, lead ID, sorry. And then we iterate over the complete lead history. We create a formatted message that we use all the time, so that we take the email type, the date, and then information such as subject or the message itself. And then we create that as a single block that gets displayed in the interface. So let me show you what it looks like. So in the interface, you would have a block like the following with email reply and then all the data related to it, divided by like the whole conversation, the whole completed conversation. Now, what I want to do right now is I want to show you the second part, which is the replying to emails, templated reply, and check availability part that is present within the system itself. So what do you do when you start using the system itself? Ideally, the system is designed so that you can handle huge amounts of clients within a single interface, and you do everything within the interface. So what you can do over here, for example, is you can create a draft reply, and then you can click on send message to send that. So let's see what it looks like for the send message setup and send message automation. Here is the system itself. So also the system starts from the moment we click on the send message button, because the moment we click on that, we have an automation over here that triggers the make using a formula like the following. So what we have then is we have this webhook over here where we trigger the reply, the reply automation. We get the email response, and then here we have two different paths related to whether we have the reply message ID or not. This is just a safety measure so that we don't encounter any problem related to reply message ID. Generally, we get that within the email reply. So when we get the email reply over here, one of the information that we also get is the reply message ID, which we use later on. Yeah, it's always better to have this information. So let me show you what we do what we do here. So first off, we have a ChatGPT part where we format the text that we have to HTML, because emails usually use HTML, and we want to make sure that this is formatted in the correct way and it can be used correctly. So this block that we have over here, the draft reply block, gets taken and gets transformed thanks to this prompt. Then what we do over here is we use the reply to email endpoint, and using this information we have everything such as the email stats ID, the to email, the campaign ID, the email body, the signature, and if we have any CC, we also add those to reply to the email. So this is the part that takes care of the actual reply of the email. And then finally, what we have on top of that is we get the information about the lead. We populate the lead history, and we do that so that we can update the information that we have about the lead. And then we take care of the part related to the KPIs. So first off, so if the reply is the first one, what we do is we perform some operations where we add the reply time over here and add the reply time over here. And then what we do over here is we have some formulas to check the difference between now and the time of response. And this gives back the response in microseconds or something similar, so that this can be used as a duration element. This is done both on the initial time reply and the total reply time. So instead here, what happens is, let me show you, we format the date now minus time of response plus the total reply time that we already have available. So this increases over time related to each lead. So we have a set of different reply times that increases over time for that specific lead. Now I will show you the other components, which are how do we have templated replies, and then how do we check the availability part. The templated part is something that we added as an automation right now, and basically what it does is if you want to have a templated response over here, you can select it from here, and then this triggers this automation within Airtable. So this automation within Airtable triggers again the make.com automation. We generally do that because we have way more control of everything that we can create within Make instead of everything that we can create within Airtable when it comes to different automation in different scenarios like that. So in this instance, what we do is pretty simple. So we get the email response, we get the email template associated with that response because generally those are connected. We extract the first name. We do a replacement within the cold email template, and we generally only replace the first name. So in this way, when we have a specific email template, like let me show you an example here, like cold booked. So this is an example of a cold booked, and here we just have first name as one of the variables. So what we can do over here is we can replace this variable with the actual lead first name. So in this way, what we actually have available is we have the finalized draft reply available over here with the correct lead name. So this is fixed. Here we have just the ones that have first name templates, so everything other than suggest availability. Meanwhile, suggest availability has its own specific workflow that I'm going to show you right now. So the workflow for suggest availability is done so that you are able to click suggest availability and then get the availability of that specific client and create a message and create an automated message on that. So in this way, you don't need to look at the calendar from the client. You don't need to guess the availability. You already have a time zone defined, and you can use those pretty easily. So again, this also is a click of a button over here. When the button is clicked, what we do here is we get email response, we get client, we get primary booker, and primary booker is within the contact. This is done so that this is done because it happens that clients have multiple contacts, and if clients have multiple contacts, what we focus on is we focus on filling the primary booker first, and then if we wanted to, we can add specific things so that we also look at the secondary booker and so on. Here we get the email template. So the email template that we have over here is always suggest availability. And then we perform specific actions such as creating a general template, setting up start date and end date so that we can check for the availability, and then check the availability using cal.com. I generally suggest to use cal.com just for the reason that the API is easily accessible, so that you can integrate this with every single client if you wanted to. Meanwhile, if you have Calendly and you are using Calendly for your clients, you need to do this process manually and you need to pay for each of the Calendly account. This is just a choice. I tend to like cal.com more than Calendly, so that is why I'm suggesting that. So here, what we are doing basically is we are getting the availability that a client has in terms of specific time blocks. So for example, if I'm available on Monday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., this takes that and gives that back as a JSON format. Then what we need to do next is the part related to selecting the specific blocks that we want to. So this is the part where we, based on the availability time that we have, the GPT selects 3 blocks. So here we decided to select 3 blocks. What we can do is we can select more than 3 blocks if we wanted to. So here we have 3 30 minutes block within the first day, 3 30 minutes block in another day, and 3 30 minutes block for another day. So in this way we can choose 9 possible times, like 3 for each day, 3 for one day, 3 for another, 3 for another one. And then we create a specific structure to give back our responses, our blocks. So we use this structure because we are using that later on. What we also do is we get the time zone. So if a user has a time zone already integrated, we get that time zone, or if they mention a time zone, what we do is we create a formatted time zone that we add over here. We parse that, and then based on the message, we create a specific time zone. We add a specific time zone to the message. Generally, those are mainly US time zone and UK time zone, but we can add whatever kind of time zone we want. And then another part that we do over here is we check whether the dates are the same. This is another additional layer of protection so that we are able to make sure to not add multiple dates that have, this is an additional layer of protection so that we are able to check if the dates that ChatGPT proposed are really different from each other. So that is what we do. And then what we do over here is we we have two instances, whether time zone exists or not. Those are essentially the same ones, but we will see one. What we do over here is we get the dates that we have available. So we get all the 3 dates, and then we have the times. The times also are 1, 2, 3, 2, and then 3. Those are like the way we format the times to get it. Then we actually get the hours in a formatted way. This is again another way we need to modify the message so that we get the actual correct message. And then finally what we have over here is we have the finalized message. So the finalized message takes the template, removes, changes the first name with the lead first name, and then changes this block of availability for next 3 days to the hour message that we created, and prospect location to the actual time zone, and then finally sends this in the draft reply. So as you can see over here, the system is pretty comprehensive of different things, and you can add a lot of different things. This is just a couple of things that you can do, but keep in mind you can add additional components and add additional things on top of that if you want to create something like that. And also if you're handling a lot of clients, because this kind of system makes sense if you have a lot of different clients. Otherwise it doesn't make that much sense. With that said, hope this was useful. Hope you get some value of what kind of system you can actually create with Airtable and with Smartlead API. And with that said, hope you have an amazing day. Bye bye.